The Yugoslav Wars produced the most chaotically armed conflict in modern European history, every faction fighting with whatever they could seize, smuggle, or build from scratch. Here is every infantry weapon fielded in the Yugoslav Wars. Let's begin with the assault and battle rifles. Starting off with the primary infantry rifles that every faction in the conflict relied on, from Cold War-issue service weapons to weapons last fired in a different world war entirely. Zastava M70. The Zastava M70 was the standard-issue assault rifle of the Yugoslav People's Army and the weapon that every faction fought to seize from J&A armories the moment the war began. Chambered in 7.62 by 39mm and built to Kalashnikov operating principles but with heavier Yugoslav specification steel, the M70 was more robustly built than a standard AKM and featured an underbarrel grenade launcher adapter as standard, making it one of the most capable infantry rifles in the conflict by any objective measure. Zastava M64 and M70 AB2, the folding stock variants of the M70, including the M64 and the M70 AB2, were the preferred weapons of armored vehicle crews, special police units, and anyone operating in the tight confines of urban Sarajevo or Vukovar. The underfolding metal stock reduced the overall length to just 600mm while retaining the full barrel length and ballistic performance of the fixed stock version, a combination that made it invaluable in building-to-building fighting.
Heckler & Koch G3.
The HK G3 entered the conflict through multiple channels. Croatian forces received shipments from Germany and Iran in violation of the UN arms embargo, and J&A stockpiles also contained quantities captured from various sources. Chambered in the full-power 7.62 by 51mm NATO round, the G3 hit harder at range than any Kalashnikov pattern rifle in the conflict, and its roller-delayed blowback action was legendarily reliable in the dust and mud of the Balkan theater.
SKS carbine.
The SKS was a Cold War-era Yugoslav People's Army reserve weapon that ended up in the hands of territorial defense units, militia formations, and civilian fighters across every faction in the conflict. Its fixed 10-round internal magazine was a significant tactical limitation compared to the detachable 30-round magazines of the M70, but its accuracy, reliability, and the sheer volume held in Yugoslav military storage made it ubiquitous on every front from Slovenia to Kosovo. TG-44 and MP40. This is where the Yugoslav Wars become historically extraordinary. Photographic and video evidence confirmed that Sturmgewehr 44 assault rifles and MP40 submachine guns manufactured in Nazi Germany between 1942 and 1945 were being fired in active combat in 1992 and 1993. The Yugoslav People's Army had stored these weapons in mountain bunkers for decades as part of their total national defense doctrine, and when the armories cracked open, everything came out, including weapons last officially used nearly 50 years earlier, submachine guns and improvised firearms. PPSh 41, another weapon pulled directly from World War II storage. The PPSh 41 was a Soviet-supplied weapon that had armed Yugoslav partisan forces against Nazi occupation in the 1940s and never left the country's reserve stocks. Its 71-round drum magazine gave fighters in close urban combat an enormous volume of fire, and its 7.62 by 25mm Tokarev round had sufficient penetration to defeat light cover that 9mm rounds could not. Agram 2000. The Agram 2000 was manufactured clandestinely in Croatia before and during the arms embargo, built in small machine shops to arm Croatian forces who could not legally import weapons. Its blowback operation, 9mm chambering, and compact dimensions made it effective for urban close-quarters fighting, and it was specifically designed to be produced on basic machine tools with minimal specialist knowledge, a weapon born entirely from political necessity and industrial ingenuity under embargo conditions. Zagi M91. Where the Agram 2000 was a relatively refined clandestine design, the Zagi M91 was rawer, a stamped steel blowback submachine gun with a folding wire stock that could be produced faster and cheaper than any conventionally manufactured weapon. Named after Zagreb, it represents the desperate weapons manufacturing reality of a nation under arms embargo, trying to equip an army from nothing, and it worked well enough to be issued to Croatian National Guard units in the earliest and most desperate phase of the war. Sarajevo Piper gun and besieged city improvised weapons. During the siege of Sarajevo, the longest siege of a capital city in the history of modern warfare at 1,425 days, The city's defenders manufactured firearms in basements, workshops, and garages, using whatever materials the blockade had not cut off. Pipe shotguns, crude single-shot pistols, and rough submachine gun copies were produced from water pipe, car parts, and scavenged springs. These weapons represent the absolute flaw of what human beings will manufacture and use when survival demands it, and they were fired in actual combat. To wrap things up with the crew-served weapons, precision platforms, and heavy-caliber systems that defined the siege warfare and long-range killing grounds of the Balkan conflict. Zastava M84 GPMG. The Zastava M84 was Yugoslavia's domestically produced version of the Soviet PKM general-purpose machine gun, chambered in the rimmed 7.62 by 54mm R cartridge and capable of sustained fire that no assault rifle could match. It served as the primary belt-fed support weapon for infantry squads across every faction in the conflict, and its ability to engage targets at ranges beyond 800 meters made it lethal in the open terrain of Bosnia and Croatia, where fields of fire stretched for hundreds of meters. MG42/MG53. The MG42, one of the most effective machine guns ever manufactured, was produced in Yugoslavia post-war as the MG53 and remained in JNA reserve stocks in enormous quantities. With a cyclic rate of 1,200 rounds per minute, it was the fastest-firing machine gun to see widespread combat use in the Yugoslav Wars, and its distinctive tearing canvas sound signature became one of the defining audio memories of survivors from Vukovar to Srebrenica. A weapon designed in 1942, still cutting down human beings in 1993. Dragunov SVD. The Dragunov SVD was the primary designated marksman and sniper weapon of the JNA and was distributed to all successor factions when Yugoslav armories were divided. Chambered in 7.62 by 54mm R and fitted with the PS01 telescopic sight, it was the weapon that made the siege of Sarajevo's sniper campaign so systematically lethal, capable of engaging pedestrians, aid workers, and civilians attempting to cross exposed intersections at ranges from 200 to 800 meters, with high first-round hit probability. RT-20 anti-material rifle. Croatia developed the RT-20 during the war specifically to defeat Serbian armor and fortified positions using 20 by 110mm ammunition, the same round used in anti-aircraft cannon systems. Its recoil management system vented propellant gas rearward through a tube running over the barrel, reducing felt recoil to survivable levels for the shooter while retaining the full anti-armor performance of the cartridge. At combat ranges, it could penetrate the roof armor of any armored vehicle in the theater and destroy radar and communication equipment at ranges that kept the shooter outside retaliatory fire. Zastava M76 sniper rifle. Yugoslavia's domestically produced answer to the Dragunov, the Zastava M76 was chambered in the powerful 7.92 by 57mm Mauser round rather than the Soviet-rimmed cartridge, a deliberate Yugoslav decision to maintain ammunition independence from both NATO and Warsaw Pact supply chains. Its semi-automatic gas-operated action allowed faster follow-up shots than bolt-action alternatives, and it was distributed to JNA sniper sections in quantities that made it the dominant long-range weapon in Serbian hands throughout the conflict. Browning M2HB heavy machine gun. The Browning M2HB, a weapon designed in 1933, appeared in the Yugoslav Wars mounted on vehicles, in fixed fortifications, and on improvised ground mounts on all sides of the conflict. JNA stocks contained significant quantities, and its 12.7mm round gave it anti-materiel capability against light vehicles, aircraft, and fortified positions that no standard infantry machine gun could match. In the hands of Sarajevo's besieging forces, it was used against civilian targets at ranges where no personal weapon offered any protection whatsoever. The Yugoslav Wars produced the most archaeologically layered small arms conflict in modern military history. No other post-Cold War conflict put weapons from 1942 and 1992 into the same firefight. The St. G44 and the Agram 2000, separated by 50 years of weapons development, were both loaded and fired within kilometers of each other in the same city on the same day. The arms embargo didn't disarm anyone, it simply determined which factions were forced to innovate and which factions relied on pre-existing stockpiles, producing a conflict where garage-built pipe guns and Warsaw Pact sniper rifles operated in the same urban environment simultaneously. The Balkan conflict's weapons tell the full story of the war itself. Fractured, desperate, historically layered, and operating entirely outside the rules that were supposed to govern it.